Welcome everybody to Youngstown Studio. BJ Lisko here, along with Cliff Hickman, who's joining us remotely for another edition of Pro Wrestling Quarterly. It's WrestleMania week again. So, Cliff, how you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there, BJ. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you in the studio today, but you can hold it down for me.
No worries, man. No worries. Yeah. So WrestleMania week here. Lots happened in the world of wrestling since we last spoke, and we'll get to all the matches on the 2-night WrestleMania card, which is set for this weekend. But first thing, what we usually do is we check in with the competition. That's All Elite Wrestling. So yeah, man, Cliff, what have been kind of your impressions of All Elite Wrestling as of late, at least since we last talked?
For the most part, I think they've been on a real roll. The wrestling, for the most part, has been outstanding. Now, unfortunately, the exception is the main event.
Right.
The Death Riders thing is still not my favorite thing. And that's easily the way to put it. But there's been a lot of good. You've seen Ricochet come in, the guy that people long criticized as not having a personality. And he is just AEW's the perfect fit for him. He's been absolutely incredible lately. Speedball Mike Bayley is a tremendous signing. He fits them like a glove. Kenny Omega has been great. The Don Callis family, Fletcher and Takeshita having great matches left and right every night. Mark Briscoe's been having great matches with Fletcher. They had another great one in their series there in the opener of the Owen Hart. Tony Storm may be my favorite promo in the entire industry. I have no idea what she's going to say. Literally any combination of words could come out of her mouth anytime she has a live microphone. Absolutely fantastic. I really like her, and yeah, it's a lot of good stuff. I think the only thing I'm really not a fan of has been the main event scene. And let's not forget FTR. That was just an incredible heel turn they did it against Copeland.
Yeah.
I about died when I think it was Cash put the neck brace on and laid on the the stretcher on the outside. The way they did that, just incredible. Those guys are top of the line.
Yeah, I agree with you on pretty much just everything you just said. Like you said, the main event scene has been the thing sort of holding it back. The Death Riders and Moxley, that sort of has taken me out. I was glad to see Kenny Omega come back. The promo that he did with the Bucks, though, I have no idea what they were going for there, but it was. I think they're setting up Kenny against the Bucks at some point. It was a peculiar promo, to say the least. I mean, I'm glad that he's back, but yeah, that one was sort of weird. But like you said, for the most part, I really like Tony Storm a lot. The FTR heel turn I thought was great. I think I'm curious to see more with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate and to kind of see where that all kind of ends up. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff happening in AEW right now, sort of sans the sort of Death Riders thing, which I think even AEW diehards are kind of sick of.
Yeah, I wish they would move on. I think we're stuck with it until the Texas show. I think whoever wins the Owen Hart, hopefully Will Ospreay. I didn't even mention him. Hopefully puts an end to it because he's been on a real tear. I think what they're setting up with the Young Bucks thing, shockingly, it sounds like maybe Swerve and Hangman go buck hunting together. And it sounds like Kenny is going to rekindle his thing with Okada, which they had tremendous matches that I don't really think have been. Yeah, they were all in Japan. So it'd be great that they'll probably save that for the Texas show. The rumor is they're going to unify those titles, the international and then the continental classic titles. So that would be huge. I almost consider Kenny's title the real world title in my head, just because Takeshita was on such a tear with it. And Omega has had such great matches with it. I'm just like, yeah, that's the world title to me.
Yeah, we mentioned before the FTR heel turn, which I thought was great, and the FTR needed the heel turn. I think. I mean, I think they would have done it sooner had they not they did that benefit thing with Adam Copeland for, I think, their hometown, or back in that area in North Carolina that got sort of ravaged. They did that toward the, I don't know, very end of last year, beginning of this year. So I think their heel turn probably would have come before that had they not been sort of, needing to be baby faces for that. But I'm curious to see where that goes. And I mean, everybody's kind of, the rumor is it's going to be FTR against, Edge and Christian, or Adam Copeland and Christian now. So, which would be an intriguing match and sort of a little bit of a dream match, honestly, but I got to think that's where they're going with that.
I think so. It doesn't seem like creatively they have much for Christian. And if you've noticed, Nick Wayne's been hanging around with the crew. I wonder if his guys turn on him and join the crew with Leo Rush and Action Andretti. That's kind of a nice young faction and a good place for them to go, and good for Christian to separate him. I think the patriarchy thing's been entertaining, but it has been a couple years. The timing is about right for that. So that would be a great, and like you said, a total dream match. I never expected we'd see that.
Yeah, I gotta think that's where they're going, and I'm thinking. I mean, anything that gets us to FTR and the Hurt Syndicate, I think would be a great feud. And the Hurt Syndicate they got to be one of the most over. They're two of the most over guys, obviously in the company right now. I mean, the crowd loves them, so makes sense to have FTR be heels and be the and have Hurt Syndicate kind of be the faces there. But yeah, anything that kind of gets us to that point, I'm all for.
Absolutely, yeah. The Hurt Syndicate, I think they're probably. I think they've kind of already turned them, but yeah, they were, so beloved by the crowd. And man, Shelton Benjamin, when he's not restrained by the WWE shackle, or I guess the Vince McMahon style shackles, I just think he's been incredible since he's signed there. He's just been outstanding. Bobby Lashley's been great as well. And they're, MVP, one of the best talkers anywhere. He's always entertaining with the microphone. I like him a lot.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think the AEW tag team division needs a little bit of a kick again. It's kind of gotten, not that it got lost, but it kind of like there was a real big push when AEW first kind of formed in this first for years, and especially after FTR arrived there. In that tag team scene, and I think it seems like they got away from it just maybe a little bit. But like I said, with this would certainly these sort of feuds, whatever, would certainly bring it back.
Yeah, I think they're starting to rebuild the tag teams a little bit. You've seen Commander and Hologram as a team. That's a really entertaining team. The Hurt Syndicate, obviously, the Outrunners are fantastic. The Crew is kind of established themselves as a team. I think Top Flight's a team that's ready to take some steps up into that main event scene. I think they've been losing a lot, but I've been really impressed by their in-ring work lately. I think they've been really good. They'd probably be further ahead. They just had some really bad luck with the injury bug. It seemed like either Darius or Dante has been hurt at various times. But I think the arrow's up on Top Flight. I think they'll be doing something with them eventually. But I think, then you got LFI. I think those guys, Dralistico and the Beast Mortos, that's another team that's floating around. Brian Cage and I think Lance Archer were set to challenge the Hurt Syndicate, and then Brian Cage got hurt. That's really bad luck for those guys, because I think that would have been a match. They teased it before. I think that would have been really enjoyable. Those are four big dudes. Maybe they can get someone in there to team with Archer, because I think that'd be really entertaining. Anytime you can get the big guys in there smashing it out, I'm all for it. But I think you're right. I think I think FTR versus Hurt Syndicate, that's got to be at a major event and like the focus of it.
And it's also looking like that Jericho stepping away for a little while, which leaves was it Brian Keith and Big Bill, right? Under the learning tree. So yeah, I could see them branching out and being a tag team. I mean, you remember, I mean, Big Bill had the tag titles not long ago with Ricky Starks, obviously before everything went south there for whatever reason. So I could see those guys kind of being put into that tag team picture too.
Big Bill's another guy that's really impressed me as of late. I thought he really stood out against Will Hobbs. That was, I think, a great showing for both of those guys. But I've been really impressed with Big Bill every time he's had an opportunity as of late. They don't have many guys of that size, and he just, I don't know, he just has really popped out. He is definitely athletic. He's not just a big, guy that can't move.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been really impressed with him. I think the time under Jericho's helped him. And Brian Keith, there's something there. I always think he's entertaining, especially when he shouts random sentence fragments when someone else is talking. He's got an aura to him. I like Brian Keith as well. I'd be fine with them being a team. They did not do badly against the Hurt Syndicate at the pay-per-view. They definitely, Big Bill was kind of physically standing up to him. They had to get him out of there, but they're a good team too. I would not be opposed to them being a team, or Big Bill getting a big singles run. He's probably ready for, he could take a run at Adam Cole or something like that for the TNT title. He's probably ready for something like that as well. So they got options with those guys.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be curious to see where that heads. Well, sort of pivoting off of AEW here. Obviously, it's WrestleMania week. The WWE Hall of Fame ceremony is usually, I think that's Friday or the night before that they do that. So going down the list of the people that are getting in this year, and I only really have an issue with one person on this list, but I'm sure you could probably guess who this is. But the people going in this year, as of right now, I don't know if they're going to announce another one this week or not. But so Triple H is going in, Lex Luger, Michelle McCool, and the Natural Disasters. So those are the sort of the main ones. And there's the legacy wing, which Kamala, Dory Funk Sr., and Ivan Koloff. And obviously, I don't think anybody has a problem with any of those three. It's kind of a shame. It's just a shame Kamala didn't get in, a few years back when he was still with us. But no, the only one that I think that everybody kind of pauses for a minute on is Michelle McCool. I just and I wouldn't and not to talk down on Michelle McCool. And I mean, she's fine, and she did do some some innovative things in her career, but with her going in, and I get this is all subjective, with her going in, and then there's still so many people that are sort of snubs that have not gone in yet. Your eyebrow kind of goes up at that one. So, but what are your thoughts on the class of 2025 for the WWE Hall of Fame?
Yeah, Lex Luger, I don't know, for some reason I thought he was already in. When they did the video, I was like, Lex Luger's not in? I was kind of shocked. I know politically some people didn't like him during his, run. He had a way of rubbing people the wrong way sometimes during his career. I was always a big fan of his. There's so many iconic moments from him. Slamming Yokozuna on the aircraft carrier deck. That was always a cool visual. Showing up on the first Nitro out of nowhere when he was, a night off of a WWE contract. That was a great moment. The time he beat Hulk Hogan for 6 days, he kind of gave everyone a 6-day break from the NWO. And the torture rack, he made that thing iconic. That was such a great, mid-90s finish. So I'm kind of shocked he wasn't there. I'm glad he's there now because it's well deserved. He had a great career in WCW and WWE, be it as a tag team guy, singles guy. You can talk about the whole Four Horsemen thing. He did some stuff with, Ric Flair when Sting was out. former NFL guy, great athlete, was always, I mean, just, you know, guy looked like he was carved out of granite every time you saw him.
Mhm.
And could forget the narcissist with Bobby Heenan as his
Mhm.
manager? That was a great one too. So I guess out of all of them, I like the natural disasters as well.
Mhm.
But Lex Luger was the one I was really happy to see there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's cool that natural disasters are in there. And obviously I think here's my thought on why the natural disasters went in as a tag team and they didn't split this up. I think it's because Earthquake, John Tenta is no longer with us. And I think it became a thing where it was like, well, do we just induct him, you know, posthumous, whatever, you know what I mean, after the fact that he's passed away, or do we pull Tugboat Fred Ottman into this, you know, Typhoon, you know, infamously the Shockmaster,
The Shockmaster, yeah.
so I mean, I have no problem with him being there as well too. I just wonder if they wouldn't have separated those two, because Earthquake had the bigger singles run, obviously, out of the two. But and again, the only reason I kind of bring up where it makes me pause a little bit on the natural disasters is just because I want to talk about some snubs that aren't in the WWE Hall of Fame that are just really super glaring omissions. And as we're recording this right now, Axe and Smash, Demolition are not in there yet. There was all kinds of rumors they were going in this year. They've yet to officially announce that. Now I'm saying this right now, and I'll probably have to edit this part out because they'll probably announce it later tonight or something. But yeah, like the Demolition's not there. That's kind of a glaring omission out of the WWE Hall of Fame. I understand why they're not, because there was the lawsuit between them and Vince McMahon and the old regime. So I kind of get that, but they should go in ASAP. And then my other really, really big snub, that's sort of the glaring omission, and I don't know if this will ever happen either, but Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express, I think, need to go in too.
You took mine. Yep, that's the big one for me.
You know what I mean? But I don't know, do they induct Jim Cornette into the WWE Hall of Fame, given that's probably going to ruffle some feathers just because of the fact that, I mean, Jim says exactly what he thinks about everything all the time. Well, by doing that, I mean, it's wildly entertaining, but at the same time, I'm sure he's ticked off a lot of people that are still in the WWE and still backstage or still kind of part of that. So how do you sort of balance that? You know what I mean? To get him there. So I think that's the only reason why they haven't been in there yet. But yeah, what are your thoughts on some of the on those two tag teams? Number one, because those to me are the two most glaring snubs. But are there any others out there?
Yeah, I guess my only question is, do you put Crush in with Demolition? Because Crush had a really good career as well. Brian Adams, be it
Yeah.
with on his own as a singles guy later. He had a few runs in WWE, and I
Mm-hmm.
think he was going to be the Kiss Demon, or made one appearance as the Kiss Demon in WCW, and then they shifted it to Torberg, the son of the baseball manager. It
Mm-hmm.
was with the White Sox and Indians, but I guess that'd be my question there. The Midnight Express should be in, regardless of what you think about Jim Cornette. When you look at other Hall of Fames, like, they didn't take O.J. Simpson out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I
Right.
mean, that's an
They killed
extreme
somewhere.
example,
Right.
but and they've done nothing to that level. None of those guys have done anything to that level. I think you just gotta. I mean, they let the Ultimate Warrior in, and that dude said some crazy. I mean, Hulk Hogan's in. Nothing
Yeah.
Jim Cornette is saying is anything close to what some of the things those guys said. So,
Yeah. Very
I
good
think
point.
they got to be in there.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, because you think back, yeah, Warrior said some crazy stuff. Hogan's still saying crazy stuff. We could do a whole
Oh
episode.
yeah,
We could do a whole episode on just Hogan. And then the other one that popped to mind is the Honky Tonk Man said a lot of stuff, man. And he did a lot of shoot interviews when shoot interviews first became kind of a thing. And
yeah.
he really went after some people. So, but he, you know, just kind of flipped his tune. He actually just did a signing not far from here, a couple weeks back, and everybody said he was great at that, and very personable and very nice and stuff too, which was good to hear. So yeah, he kind of did a 180 on all that once he got into the Hall of Fame, or once he was sort of being rumored to be in there. So, but But yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head other guys that are not in the hall yet, outside of, like I said, what we just mentioned. Are there any that come to mind for you?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. It's weird because they did some of those in the 90s. I was looking, and they really didn't televise or show them. So there's people in there I didn't know were in
Yeah.
there. So it's kind of an interesting, thing. So, and it's always going to be colored by who they have a good relationship. It's always going to be, I think, slightly political. Unfortunately, that's the only reason Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express wouldn't be there, or
The,
some of those other guys.
right. No, the other one that came to mind that I was thinking of as you were talking, who's not in that I think really should be is Rick Martel.
I was about to mention him too. I thought, yeah,
great career, and even pre WWE, and then with Strike Force when he got to WWF or WWE, with Tito Santana, had the heel turn, and then did, he was the model and did Arrogance and all that stuff too. Even went and was in WCW for a little while after that. But yeah, a guy that was always kind of there. Yeah, I mean, he was on every pay-per-view. He had a match on everything, you know what I mean? On all the marquee stuff. I think one of the Royal Rumbles, he was one of the longest, I think he had the record for being the longest entrant in a Royal Rumble, or spending the most time early on, and when they started sort of keeping track of that. But yeah, Rick Martel is another glaring one that I think needs to get in pretty soon.
yeah, he was an AWA champion even before he got there, world heavyweight champion. So certainly, some people have criticized that. Well, it was kind of the end of the AWA, and he was just in that position. But I don't know. I always liked him. I thought he was a great in-ring wrestler, and also the model thing was really good at the time, spraying the mist in people's eyes. That was yeah, that was a good one. I think that's certainly someone you could look at, and then I'm sure there's all sorts of guys politically that have been on the outs over the years you could look at, and you know, it's always going to be subjective, and they still
Yeah.
don't really have it. I think they need a physical building for this thing somewhere.
Yeah, I thought they were
Um,
doing that whole series that was on A&E where they were going and buying all the old memorabilia back and stuff too. I mean, that seems like that they're gearing up to have a physical building somewhere. And I can't imagine them not announcing doing something like that in the next couple years, given that they've got all that memorabilia back now. I mean, they still have warehouses full of that stuff too. Yeah, I think maybe they were just waiting for the Netflix sort of transition and all that to kind of get out of the way first, because that sort of took priority. But I could for sure see them having a physical building, WWE Hall of Fame, whether they do it in Connecticut or they go to a bigger city or stick it somewhere like New York, whatever. But yeah, I can't imagine them not having an actual building for that Hall of Fame here pretty soon. Let's pivot on here. WrestleMania is coming up this weekend. 2-night WrestleMania. Some interesting matches on the card for sure. So just kind of overall, what are your thoughts? Sort of how do you think the build has been for some of these matches headed into Mania? What are sort of your impressions of the card as you see it for this weekend?
to me, it looks like it relies very heavily on nostalgia for a certain area of WWE, and if you have a fondness for it, I think you're going to be really excited and have a lot of anticipation.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I just was not a fan of that era, so I'm a little bit tempered
Yeah.
because I think they've sacrificed, and it's not kind of a surprise, the better match for, the whatever, the positioning of what they think is a better story. I mean, it's kind of wild to think of John Cena in 2025 headlining a WrestleMania from a
Right.
match perspective, where I'm like, oh boy, nothing
That
against John, but that's
That one's going to be more of a, and I get what you're saying with that. I think we'll just start there. The Undisputed Championship, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. That's going to be night 2. That'll be your main event. The I think that one's going to be more. I mean, not that it's going to be like terrible in ring, because it'll be fine. But that's going to be more like of a like you said, more of a nostalgia kind of thing with Cena. And I think that's going to be a little bit more of a smoke and mirrors sort of match. I mean, and not that WWE is, they've done that for years and years with various matches in various WrestleMania main events. So I think that one's going to be more of a story. Definitely more of a story-based match than anything that you're going to see, crazy over the top sort of physical or with crazy spots and bumps. And they might not need to do that, in any of the extra stuff. I mean, I think the crowd's going to be invested. I mean, Cody's obviously probably the biggest babyface in the world right now, is in terms of professional wrestling. So, yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see that match. I don't, as far as predicting that match, I don't. I can't see them taking that off of Cody. I mean, do you see any kind of world where John Cena wins this match and takes the belt?
I would hope not. Just to be honest, I think I've been slightly disappointed. I was kind of really excited when they did that initial turn. The more he's talked, the less excited I've been hearing from John Cena. And it's like The Rock was the guy that was kind of the linchpin of this thing, and he's totally disappeared thus far. He's not really said or done anything. I wish they had played up kind of the sold out thing more, and maybe not even have John Cena give a reason. They should have gave him advisors that were speaking for him and things like that, where basically he doesn't speak unless The Rock says he can speak, kind of thing. But they really didn't do much with it, and I don't know, the promos. I just don't have that much nostalgia for John Cena. I know people that do, so I think it's going to be a really big hit for them. And like I said, it's all subjective. There's no right or wrong. Your excitement level is, what it is, depending on what you have for it. I'd be shocked if they took it off Cody Rhodes just because he's on such a roll. But
Yeah.
it's always interesting when guys get into retirement years in WWE as opposed to other places. Like if you look at Hiroshi Tanahashi right now in New Japan, he's in his last year as well. He's basically losing every match right now. He just lost to Takeshita in his final U.S. match in Chicago a few nights ago. And when Jushin Liger went out a couple years ago, he lost everybody for like 6 months. So it's more like they're trying to make new guys on the way out, whereas WWE is kind of a different philosophy where they kind of make them the center of attention. Whether their skills are still at that level is debatable. I really don't know. From a fan's perspective, I personally would say no, but I don't know. Some industry people might still say it's fine. I don't know, and I'm not going to speak from it on that angle. I'm just like, for me, I don't know. I just don't think it looks like a great match on paper, and the John Cena sort of era was one I dropped off in. I couldn't take it anymore. So I definitely don't want to see it come back. So yeah, I would hope Cody Rhodes wins just from that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have, if Cena's doing this retirement tour for the rest of the year, that you got to have him tied to something. You know what I mean? So yeah, which makes me pause for a minute. Like maybe he is going to win this thing, and then I mean, Cody's going to have to chase him till the end of the year if Cena is going to go to the end of the year with this. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm with you there. I wasn't watching when John Cena was way up there. There was a big period of wrestling that I dropped off too. So that was there. So I don't have a huge affinity for John Cena either. And you bring up a great point with The Rock sort of being the linchpin and all of it, and then he's not there, and he just completely like not even trying to kayfabe up anymore. He's just being like, oh yeah, this is what a great story we just did. And it's like, dude, like, wait a minute, like very weird how he just dropped out of there, having been the focal point for all that. So yeah, you're right. It's kind of a weird setup.
My favorite thing with The Rock is when he did that thing in New Orleans where it seemed like he had ADD. He was like, "Oh, New Orleans is such a great town. We're having WrestleMania here." And then all you fans smell terrible. The next
Yeah.
line would be an insult at someone. Everyone's like, "What is going on? Is he like, here is Dwayne Johnson selling something or The Rock insulting everyone?" He was like trying to do both at the same time. And
Mhm.
it's kind of a weird thing when you see him kind of go in and out of it, as it were.
Right, right. No, no doubt, man. No doubt. So, all right, more stuff from night one. We're gonna go down. Well, let's flip the card a little bit. One that just got announced recently: AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I think this is gonna be. I think this is gonna be a good match. I think AJ Styles is gonna end up putting over Logan. Actually, Logan Paul's got to win something and not just have the. He does the, some unbelievable, moves and whatever. I mean, for a guy that's that new to the industry as well too. So I'm sure there's going to be a couple really big high spots in this match. But I kind of think AJ Styles is going to do the job for Logan Paul here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think AJ Styles is quietly nearing the end of his career too. And
Mm,
he may be going the other way with it, where he is going to start losing to a lot of people, unfortunately, which is sad because that'd be the guy I'd be fine with winning a bunch near the end of his career because I think he can still have really good matches. But, you know, that's the way it is, unfortunately. Yeah, I saw that on paper and I just kind of was like, well, he's probably not winning that.
yeah, right.
That's just kind of what I thought. I was like, that seems like something made to try to get Logan Paul a big win or whatever.
Yeah, to get him to get him a win and get him on the show, whatever. So we're definitely in agreement on that one. The next one coming up, the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship: Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. I'm butchering that last name, I'm sure. But so I don't think Liv and Raquel are going to lose this here. I think Liv Morgan is just like, pardon the pun, she's too hot. You know what I mean? Like she's still a fan favorite. People still love what she does. Even as a heel, like I said, she's still so over that I can't see them pulling them out of that spot. What do you think of this one?
No, I don't think so. That's going to be a really good match. Lyra Valkyria and Bayley are great wrestlers. Their women's division is incredible. In fact, going back to the Elimination Chamber with Liv Morgan and them,
Mhm.
I thought they did a better job than the men. I thought
I
the
agree.
women's chamber match was way better.
Hmm.
So, you know, hopefully I hope this isn't like some 5-minute match with so many matches. I know some of them are going to get that, but I think if they give them some time, that has the potential to be really good.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think it'll be. I don't think anything's going to be super that quick. I mean, I think that's why if it was all one day, there would definitely be 2 or 3 matches that were 5 minutes. But that they split it up, I think they'll get. I think they're at least going to get 15 to 20 for that. But yeah, I think like I said, Liv Morgan is just so over with fans. The whole storyline between her and Rhea and Dom. It's still hot everywhere Liv Morgan goes. Like I said, it's just she's still one of the most popular people, even as a heel in that company. So yeah, I don't see them taking the belts off them there. Moving forward here, the next one up. This is a match that I don't know that there's a lot of luster for this. So I'm sure it's going to be the match is going to be fine. It's just the build to it, I'm not in. I don't know. There's something missing for me in the build of this. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. What are your thoughts on this one? This one I'm not like incredibly excited about, and then they might, change my mind with what they do in the ring with it. But I don't know, man. This one to me just seems like um, another match on the card. Like this one doesn't really stand out to me. But what are your feelings on this one?
Exactly. I think it's like, oh God, we got two really great guys that need to be on there somewhere, and we don't have any ideas for them. Just put them against each other,
Mm-hmm.
which is sad because I really like both guys. You could argue they could be in their own respective main events. I
Mm-hmm.
initially thought when The Rock was going to choose a protege or someone was going to sell their soul, I initially thought it might be Priest
Yeah.
because, that would give him a huge amount of credibility and change his character a bit, and he certainly has the skills to match up to it. And they didn't go in that direction, but he's great in ring. I'm sure it'll be a great match. Drew McIntyre has done, great with everything he's been in. He seems to bring, with his social media activity and stuff, a spotlight to every match or program he's in. But I just kind of wish both those guys, instead of against each other, were in like bigger matches with higher stakes.
I agree, man. I agree. I think that's why it's not really resonating for me, because there's just not much of a build or not enough of a backstory there. And yeah, to see those two guys, like I said, like you just said, it seems like they kind of threw this on just to get them both on the card. But next up here, the Intercontinental Championship, we have Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominik Mysterio. I don't see them taking the belt off of a Braun Breaker, but if they did, I think Penta would be the guy that might that could possibly win this for a minute. Because speaking, I mean, he could win this match without having to pin Braun Breaker, so you're not hurting Braun Breaker at all by having that happen. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, that's I would keep an eye on Dominik Mysterio too. I could see him letting Penta or Braun Breaker doing all the work on someone else, like a Finn Balor, and then like stealing it somehow, because he still has a lot. The crowd hates him.
Yeah,
They could probably do some stuff with him. The guy that probably needs a win and isn't going to get it at all these guys is probably Finn Balor. Boy, he seems like there's certain guys we talk about that a change of scenery could really help him. To
Yeah.
me, that's a guy that if he went to AEW, it'd probably help him a lot, because he just seems kind of,
He's
they
stuck.
just seem to take him for granted, and he's kind of stuck in that. It's like he'll get to a big match, he's going to lose it. It seems like 100% of the time. He never wins.
Right.
So uh, and he's really talented. It's just, that's the one guy I was looking at that lineup. I was like, he could really use a win, and I can almost guarantee he's not going to get it.
Yeah, that back when he won, because he won the Universal title and then he had to relinquish it the next night because he got injured. Which that was such bad luck for him, because he was so over at that point and poised to have a run, and they were going to put him back in that spot. And then ever since then, it's like they've never really given him that level of opportunity again to sort of recapture that. You know what I mean? So he's kind of been stuck in this sort of purgatory. But I'm with you on that one. I think a change of scenery would help him out a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have this weird feeling Dominik Mysterio is going to win it somehow.
I could see that. I could see that too, for sure. So last match on night one here, we're going to talk about the Women's World Championship, triple threat match between Io Sky, the champion, versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. I don't know what they do with this one. Like this one, I'm genuinely curious about, because I could see them going any one of these girls winning this match. So what are your thoughts on the triple threat for the Women's World Championship?
Yeah, there's a part of me, and this is only, again, I'm only speaking for me. Like, I kind of wanted the Wonder Woman versus Superwoman, Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley 1-on-1. I know Io Sky's super talented, but I kind of just wanted those guys 1-on-1. What I think may happen is I think they're trying to elevate Io Sky. I think she somehow wins this. That's just what I'm thinking.
She might.
Because it'd be weird if she's there, and I don't know. They seem to be doing a big thing about trying to build her up.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of sneaking a win here, I could see Io Sky sneaking a win. You figure Bianca and Rhea just are, beating the hell out of each other, and then Io Sky kind of just comes in and spoils it. So yeah, I could for sure see that kind of sort of being the ending there, and then you build Io Sky against somebody else down the line, and then you just go Bianca versus Rhea, which I mean, it'd be nice if it was for the title, but I don't think fans are are going to complain one bit if they get that match, one-on-one, regardless of what
No,
it's for.
no, I kind of wanted that one-on-one. I'm like, oh man, that's gonna be like, the fans always chant meat. That's like the female equivalent of that.
Yeah. 100%. So headed to night 2 here. First up, we'll go from the bottom up here from this one. And I'm surprised I'm saying this from the bottom up. Maybe it's just how this had this listed here. But World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther versus Jey Uso. Uso wins the Men's Royal Rumble. I don't know that they switched the belt here off of Gunther to Jey Uso. I mean, I've been shocked by things before. I've been surprised by things before. Like maybe he gets an underneath win here, but I kind of think Gunther's gonna retain this. I think Jey Uso's gonna have a big hope spot toward the end that somehow gets foiled. But what are your thoughts on Gunther versus Jey Uso?
I think, and my only hesitation is Gunther doesn't lose very often, but they seem to have invested a lot in Jey Uso. Jey Uso had,
He's over,
the crowd.
man.
Yeah, the crowd is always reacting to him. And from a classic standpoint, when you used to see guys, like Bret Hart went from a tag team to a singles guy to winning the Intercontinental, it was like a slow build to getting to the world title. And he's kind of had that arc, so I would not be opposed at all to seeing him win that.
Yeah.
I think the match has the potential to be the best match on either night overall.
I think
I'm
that's going
gonna
to be a
pick.
really good match. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Jey Uso here. I'm like I said, I could see him not doing it, but I just had this weird feeling, and my weird feelings are usually wrong. So if you're a gambler, you can probably make some money in Vegas right now by just going against everything I say.
But you picking that though, yeah, I have no idea why I forgot the whole yeet and all the entrance and Jey Uso being as over as he is. Yeah, so that gives me cause to pause that they could switch it. So yeah, all right, all right. So I gotta rethink my thoughts here. I'm still gonna pick Gunther to win this, but I would not be surprised if they gave it to Jey. So next up on the card, so ended up this one. I'm a little surprised this is on here. So El Grande Americano, who is definitely not Chad Gable, by the way, versus Rey Mysterio. I like Chad Gable. I mean, anything to get Chad Gable on the card, I think is cool. But yeah, I don't. This seems kind of like it might. This might be a pre-show match, maybe. I don't know. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Great match on paper. I love both those guys. I think they could have a tremendous match. Man, I wish they wouldn't do such goofy stuff to Chad Gable. He's so
Yeah.
good in the ring, and they've made him like baby Kurt Angle, kind of, where once they found out he could do comedy, that's all they made him do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's so much more. And I know he just re-signed, but that's another guy I'm kind of like, I wish I could see him presented in a more serious manner and see what he could do,
Yeah.
because he certainly has the skills to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one for sure. I think, yeah, you're right, man. That's a perfect analogy. They make him like little Kurt Angle, you know what I mean, with all the comedy stuff. And yeah, he is such a good wrestler. So good in the ring, so good in tag teams. My God, that guy's one of the best tag team wrestlers on the planet. So, yeah, this might just be sort of more of a comedy sort of spot here. But I guess at least they're on the card, which I could say more of the. There were a couple snubs I forgot that I just saw today. Chelsea Green doesn't have a match on the Wrestlemania, which is kind of shocking to me as over as she's gotten herself. And I know there's still. I know they're still teasing a Randy Orton match with somebody that might be him and Aldis on the pre-show or something like that too. So I don't know, but a couple sort of omissions as far as having matches on the card. But
yeah, I'm shocked Chelsea Green's not on there. That again, that's another person that just pure entertainment anytime you see her.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I mean, I'm sure they're gonna have to get her involved somehow backstage, somehow as part of something, even if she's on commentary or something like that. But so next up for night two, the World Tag Team Championships, we have the War Raiders versus New Day. We talked about the tag team division in AEW kind of being sort of relegated to the back a little bit, and that's been the case for WWE for a lot of years now. And I'll be honest, man, not watching WWE programming, super regularly and only kind of catching clips, I forgot this match was even happening.
I think they just announced it. This is like a last second thing.
I gotcha.
War Raiders, I really love those guys. They are such a great team, and as much heat as the New Day has, the War Raiders may lose this one through no fault of their own. I
Mm-hmm.
could see them going with the heat and furthering the storyline by having the New Day win this. So
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah,
I would love the War Raiders to win, but
I gotcha. Yeah, I could see them sort of flipping it because New Day haven't had a run yet as heels, with the titles and stuff too. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see that one flip. Another match for night two. We have the returning Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Naomi, who they just flipped heel. Kind of out of nowhere. I don't think anybody really expected that. So that was definitely surprising. And you mentioned what was the Elimination Chamber match, and that started off with Jade Cargill coming down and just beating the holy hell out of Naomi. And I kind of think that's going to sort of continue here. I think Jade Cargill is going to get the win on this. I think Naomi will shine in the match at certain points, but I don't think this one's going to be a very long match. I think Jade Cargill gets the win here. What do you think?
I'm with you. I think out of all of them that have the potential to be shorter, this one probably has the greatest potential to do that. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think Jade Cargill in a quick match.
Another one that could potentially be a little bit quick, and so this for the United States Championship, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. I Boy, LA Knight's kind of in one of those weird spots too. Again, where I think Jacob Fatu is going to win this. I just think there's too much behind him. He's just too spectacular. Nothing against LA Knight, but I think LA Knight's just in the he's almost kind of like LA Knight to me with that company is almost kind of like an afterthought because he's not sort of their homegrown guy. He didn't come up through their system and stuff too. So I think sometimes he gets sort of the short end of the stick a little bit. And again, not to take anything away from Jacob Fatu, because I think you do need to keep building up Jacob Fatu into the sort of monster that he's going to become down the line. What are your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, LA Knight's another guy, I think, as far as getting a crowd reaction and people behind him. You could argue that he deserves maybe a shot at one of the bigger titles instead of the Intercontinental title. And not only the Intercontinental title, like you said, likely a loss unless Solo Sikoa somehow messes things up.
Right.
Or,
Yeah.
something like that happens. In a
Mm-hmm.
straight up match, yeah, Jacob Fatu probably all day. And rightly so, because he seems like when you're building for the future, I think both of them should be key parts of the future. Seems like LA Knight rubs people the wrong way here and there,
Yeah.
but, and that might be what's keeping him in those positions. Like I said, I'm not backstage. I don't know. Maybe he is difficult to
Yeah.
deal with.
Yeah,
But
yeah. There's something with LA Knight just not quite clicking with the the higher ups there or whatever, because it seems like he was probably about as over as he was going to get, and they didn't really do a whole lot with it when he was at that sort of peak. I love LA Knight. This is like I said, this is sort of a really talk about a kind of a self-made kind of guy in terms of the wrestling industry and stuff too. We're only talking this guy's only a few years removed from being in the NWA on YouTube, wrestling for 50 people in the studio. So he's done a hell of a job getting that character over.
oh, he's done a great job. He was at Impact at its lowest point when
Mm.
everyone had kind of, they had switched ownership and everyone had to kind of abandon ship on him. And No, he's carried some companies at some key times and maybe not gotten the credit he probably deserves for it. So it's yeah, I've always got a soft spot for him, and I'd like to see him in a bigger match than this, in a position where he could possibly win. But yeah, unless something weird happens, I think it's
Yeah.
Jacob Fatu's time. And I the one thing I do enjoy about WWE programming is when they let Jacob Fatu talk on the way from the entrance to the ring.
Mhm.
He's like yelling at him to hit his music and everything. It's just great. Mhm.
Definitely in agreement with you on everything there. So headed to the next one. So two matches left to highlight. This one, the WWE Women's Championship. Tiffany Stratton, the champion, versus the returning and somehow wildly unpopular all of a sudden Charlotte Flair. What the hell happened with Charlotte that people are just like over it? You know what I mean? I don't understand like what, like she has gotten booed a couple of times, and that promo that went off the rails between her and Tiffany in Chicago, I've never seen her thrown that way. I don't think she was expecting to get booed that hard like that. You know, I mean, like, that's like go away heat, and I'm not sure what she did to get go away heat. So what are your thoughts on this match?
I don't know, and I'll admit, even for me, I think
We
she's just been the same character for so long. There needs to be. She's almost like the female John Moxley to me, where like I'm kind of tired of seeing this exact same package in the main event. I don't
they
know
have
what to change, but I just
they
don't know that this is working as it
mhm.
is.
They have gone to that well a lot. Like it seems like Charlotte comes back from any kind of injury or any kind of time away, and she's instantly thrust right back into that main event spotlight. And I think the fans are kind of taking offense to that. Like, why is she just all of a sudden right back in this picture again for the for the top prize and stuff too? And so yeah, I think you're right. Some kind of change would would definitely help.
And
Definitely help kind of Charlotte going forward.
I'll be honest, the Flair last name probably hurts more than it helps at this point, because I see his
Yeah,
adventures. I'm just like, I don't want any more Flairs right now. It's like Hogan. It's like I just
we need a break. Yeah, we need a break from him.
yeah.
Like,
And it's not her fault on that end. I'm just saying, I think
right.
subconsciously that's playing into it for me.
It definitely could. So, I mean, as far as predictions for this match, I think Tiffany Stratton retains. I don't think they flip it here. I think if they had plans to flip it, that reaction in Chicago that Charlotte got may have had them rethinking it. Now I don't know if that's what they were gonna do, but I kind of see Tiffany Stratton retaining here.
Um, I think that would be what I would do. I have this weird feeling Charlotte's going to win.
Maybe,
I don't know
yeah.
why, but I do. Like I said, you can probably make a ton of money picking against me here. But I
Mm,
just had this weird feeling that, like you said, anytime she comes back and tends to find herself in these positions, she tends to win.
mm,
And I think the other thing is she always tends to be put in a position to cut the knees out of younger wrestlers for some reason.
mm,
If you remember when she won the Royal Rumble the one time, she went and stopped Rhea Ripley's momentum for a while by taking that. And
yeah.
I don't know. I think some of that may be playing into it too, because Stratton's like the new, you know,
Mm.
the shiny new. I don't want to put it that way though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I,
the new definitely the new promising kind of champion, that deserves a little more.
the
Yeah.
new star on the block, basically.
Mhm.
And somehow she always ends up against those. And Tiffany Stratton's done great stuff. I thought the whole thing with her and Nia Jax, and she made Nia Jax, you know, that as entertaining as I think you could make Nia Jax, with her being in the background with her there for a while. But
Mhm.
I think it's her time. I'd like to see her have a little bit more time, but we'll see what they decide to do.
Yeah, I got you. The final match, obviously the main event here. and I'm sorry, this is main event night 1. I think I'm going to mix up the nights here. But so we have Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus your favorite CM Punk. There was a big build to this. You know, and the whole Heyman angle. Paul Heyman's always so good in everything he does. So, you know, just to kind of see what Paul Heyman ends up doing, because I think he's going to play sort of an integral part of this. If I got to pick a winner to this, I think it's going to be Seth Rollins, because I just think the whole Heyman angle between Heyman and Punk and Reigns is going to sort of screw that up. And maybe, you know, maybe Heyman swerves everybody and he ends up back in Seth Rollins. You know, I mean, what do you see out of this match?
I have no idea. I'll be honest. If you were designed to sit in a lab and say, what match could you make that would make Cliff not want to tune in or pay attention at all? This would be the result. I know a lot of people are going to like it, and that's totally fine. I'm not talking bad about anyone or what they like. It's not for me. I don't know. I think again, it kind of plays into the Shield nostalgia thing. And to be honest, I am so tired of revisiting the Shield and the betrayal and all the. I'm
Yeah.
like, is again, that was in that John Cena era. Like, that was another thing that made me quit watching. I'm just like, I just don't
Yeah.
have the nostalgia for it. I don't know what happens. You can make an argument for any of those guys winning. And
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it isn't, like I said, the whole Heyman angle and sort of the callbacks are for sure intriguing. But I get what you're saying about the whole Shield sort of thing, and they have been going that well an awful lot in recent years, and it just kind of keeps. You're right, it keeps coming back. Now watch Moxley, you know, get time off and end up back in the WWE, and we'll get a whole Shield reunion. You know that's happening at some point in our lifetime, Cliff. You know, like
I even made the joke to you. I think privately they should have worked out a trade. I don't know what they could get. Maybe they could have got Finn Balor and
yeah,
Shinsuke Nakamura or some. You know, Shinsuke Nakamura is another guy that seems dead in the water. Maybe
yeah.
they could get a few guys that are dead in the water for them and trade them for Moxley or something, because I don't know. I feel like Finn Balor and Nakamura would be great in AEW if they somehow got there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that wouldn't be that wouldn't be a bad idea. It'd be a fresh start for a lot of them, because you know what I mean. I mean, even although Moxley, I don't think Moxley's ever going back to WWE.
I don't either.
Maybe,
I'd
you
be
know what I mean. But
shocked.
he said he hated it so much, whatever. Although with Vince out of there now, maybe he does. Maybe he would reconsider at some point, like later on down the line. But he seems. I don't think John Moxley wants to be in a big, like a super big company. You know what I mean. I don't think he wants it to be. I don't think that intrigues him. I think John Moxley would be happy, you know, wrestling up the road here at Penguin City in a barbed wire match or something, or busting light bulbs at an indie show. I just think that's his mindset, man. I mean, and whatever, more power
I
to him if that's what he wants
agree.
to do. But I think that's what he wants to do. I just don't think he wants to
Mhm.
have the big sort of corporate kind of constraints on what he's able to do.
And there's a certain part of me that appreciates that, because I don't know. I tried to watch WWE, like Raw and SmackDown, on a weekly basis, and I made it like 2 weeks. It just drove me insane. The way they do things, just I don't
Yeah,
know.
we'd hoped for less advertisements. We'd hoped for less length and all of it. And it's just the same thing, just with less language restrictions on it. Pretty much, there's still as many ads. There's still as many backstage things. There's still as many. The way it's still formatted is pretty much the same. You know what I mean? So it's like it's still a hard watch. It's hard to commit to that many hours, you know, in a week to watch to watch that product.
Yeah, it goes back to the old Jim Cornette thing. Why would people think we're a wrestling show when we got wrestlers in wrestling boots and wrestling tights on a wrestling ring, when we can be an entertainment show, you know?
Right.
That famous argument he had with Kevin Dunn. I'm just like, I don't know. And if the entrances are going to be so long, I don't know, maybe this is just me and being overly critical, but it seems like their music has taken a real entrance music and stuff has taken a real downgrade since like the Jim Johnson days.
Yeah, I mean, to me, yeah, like music wise, it's just sort of whatever. I mean, outside of the ones that everybody, Cody and Seth, outside of the ones where everybody's like way into and the whole kind of yeet thing. But yeah, I think I would agree. I think some of the entrance music isn't as good as it used to be, and then it's also highlighted by the fact that everybody's entrance is so damn long that like you're just kind of like, okay, like just get to the ring already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just saying, even AEW, something like the
Mhm.
Hurt Syndicate, I think the "we hurt people" thing has helped them a lot. People love doing that,
Mhm.
They've
No.
certain music they've been able to tap into, but who knows, maybe 20 minutes of it I'd get tired of that too, because some of those entrances, I'd watch them, they'd go through the commercial break, they're still making their entrance. I'm like, why?
There's
Get
some
him one of those, the old WrestleMania 3 scooters with the ring they used to drive. Like, drive this man to the ring in between the break or something. Let's go.
Right. No, exactly, man. We need to pick up the pace a little bit on the entrances, man. Yeah, that I think that has kind of gone out of hand across both companies, really. But that's it for the night one and night two. Any final thoughts on WrestleMania this weekend or anything else in the world of wrestling?
No, I guess there's some free agency stuff, and Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez broke that it sounds like Mariah May's going to WWE this summer.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a really big pickup for them. Um, it's interesting to see, and she'll do really well. It's interesting to see who goes where now. That's always something that
Mm-hmm.
kind of fascinates me. Um, so it seems like WWE, I guess it's always been Mariah May's dream to go there, and it seems like they kind of rely on that. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if it comes down to a lot of dollars and cents, it seems like AEW's winning out. That's the fascinating part. Is like the second place has the reputation of giving the better contracts. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, paying more than the first because they don't really, I mean, they don't have to. Tony doesn't. I mean, I think Tony could buy. I mean, he could pay for however many more wrestlers he wants, whatever. Yeah, money's never not an issue with him as far as that goes, which is good for the town. It's good for the wrestlers and stuff too. But yeah, WWE's never kind of been that way. I'm sure WWE's paying more. I'm sure their salaries went up because of AEW over there too. So it ended up being a good thing for everybody in
Sure.
the industry. But it is sort of interesting that the number two company is probably paying a lot more for their talent than the number one.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see who's gonna jump where. I thought Josh Alexander, I just assumed because of the WWE TNA relationship, he was, going to go to WWE. And he said he really didn't have that nostalgia for them and he let his agent handle it. And as soon as it came down to that, as far as pure money, he ended
Yeah.
up in AEW. He hasn't debuted yet, but
Mhm.
it's fascinating that that's what's going on. And like I said, both companies are in a really good place. I feel like AEW is running good shows, and I think the thing with AEW is they're not just grabbing everybody. It seems like they're being really smart about the guys they are pursuing. If you look at the last 6 months, like Ricochet and Speedball Bayley and people like that have been, huge hits. Megan Bain has been great for the women's side of the roster, and Lashley and Shelton Benjamin and the Hurt Syndicate. It seems like they're not just getting people, they're kind of moving with a purpose when they are signing people now.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see where I think Britt Baker's going to be WWE bound here pretty soon too. I think you're going to see her on NXT
Yeah.
programming as soon as her contract's up because whatever went wrong there has stayed wrong. I think you're going to see the same thing with Camille whenever she breaks out of that. That was the weirdest thing with AEW when they were that was the Queen of the Ring that movie came out, which Camille plays a significant role in, and they didn't tie her into that at all. They tied in some other people that were like very
Tony
briefly in the movie,
Storm, yeah.
but they didn't tie her into it at all. It's like, wow, like how do you why wouldn't you market that, or why wouldn't you play that up? So something went way wrong there, way fast. I don't know if she ticked off Mercedes Moné or whatever, if that's the problem. But yeah, so Camille's, on the bench collecting a paycheck too. I wish we all could be so lucky.
Yeah, I wonder, and they've started to move away from that philosophy. I wonder if you do see a wave of people exiting here by the summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because they could probably use those funds to get people that do fit what they're doing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
it sounds like Jeff. I'm sorry to cut you off, but Jeff Cobb's going to WWE. It sounds like they just vacated the New Japan Tag Team Championships.
yeah, I saw that. I also saw that I think Miro or Rusev, whatever, he's going to be back in WWE here shortly, which I wouldn't be surprised if his wife comes with him again too.
Yeah.
So that'll be yeah, I could certainly see that. I mean, I'm happy for Ricky Starks and Ethan Page getting the shine that they're getting right now in NXT, because I think both those guys are really, really good, and it just didn't work in AEW for whatever reason. There was some sort of clashes, or just didn't whatever happened. But I'm glad that they're getting they're definitely getting the shine they deserve over in NXT.
Yeah, stylistically, I think they are a better fit for WWE, and with Ricky Starks, it sounds like it may have been, people are theorizing it was him and Copeland just didn't get along. I guess there was a weird promo where they got really, really personal with each other, and it was not planned, and then you never saw Ricky Starks again. So I don't know, but
yeah,
that'd be a weird one, because Copeland's not kind of had that. I don't know. That's
yeah,
whatever happened with Ricky Starks it's one of the great mysteries that only him and Tony Khan probably know.
Yeah, we'll probably know about it in like 10, 20 years, whenever they stop or whenever they're able to talk about it or whatever. You might get an actual story out of that way down the line. But no, well, Cliffman, I think that's going to do it for us this time. But yeah, another edition of Pro Wrestling Quarterly here. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you have fun watching WrestleMania this weekend. But yeah, like and subscribe to Youngstown Studio on YouTube, like us on Facebook, whatever, for more wrestling content. But yeah, for Cliff Hickman, I'm BG Lisko, and we'll catch you guys again. We'll catch you guys again before SummerSlam, if not sooner.